Hi everybody, I'm just some guy, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite ongoing American comic, Super Sons. I love this book. It's everything superhero comics should be. It's got adventure, it's got cool fights, it's got great characters, it's got awesome art, and it's fun. Remember when comics used to be fun? When you got excited and couldn't wait for the next book? Neither does the industry. I swear fun is like a curse word now. It's whispered. People are like, "What did you do last weekend?" "Oh, I went and played frisbee golf. I had fun." And then someone pops up from behind the desk and they're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna tell." DC announced a bunch of the Rebirth books last year. I wasn't really interested in Rebirth. I had seen what they'd done with the New 52 and I figured this would be another hot mess. Then I saw this picture and I was like, buying it. I love Jorge Jimenez's artwork. It's so vibrant. It's got that kinetic art style that I like where it looks like animation. The posing's just right. The kids look like kids. You have no idea how much this bothers me. For years, I hated anybody but Tom Grummett drawing Superboy because they'd always draw him like he was 22 years old. Only Tom Grummett would draw him like he was a kid. But something caught my eye about Jorge's art. I'm looking at Superboy's face, and then I notice it. Naruto. Jorge Jimenez is a Naruto fan. Look at Superboy's face. That smile is straight up Masashi Kishimoto's smile. See? Turns out I was right. I follow Jorge on Facebook and he posted a couple of months ago that Naruto was a huge influence on him. Damn, I'm good. Now Jorge's art looks great, but look at the finished cover. Just amazing. What's really cool about Jorge's art is that he's really evolved in just a few years. He worked on the New 52 Superboy and you can see how awesome his stuff looks. Then he moved over to the Earth 2 book and took it up a notch. His pencil work is phenomenal, great control, great handle on shading and rendering, but then he turned it up to 11. He uses Manga Studio. I know it's called Clip Paint Studio now, but that's a retarded name, so I'm not using it. He uses Manga Studio to draw and ink his pages. That's where he takes it up an extra notch with the texture. Here's the finished cover for Earth 2. Now here's the grayscale. Look at that. Stunning. Immaculate. Scrumtralescent. Kudos if you know what that's from. This just adds so much to the art. I mean, look at this page. You can print that. That's your book. I'd buy that as is. This is what he brings to Super Sons. It's vibrant, manga-inspired work. And you could read the book just from the pictures. I mean, you can know the plot point from the panels that good. It's character, it's acting, it's pacing like manga, so it reads quick, but you also get a lot with it. Now he does cheat a little bit. There are some panels that are trace photos like this one, but when he gives you something like this, fine, trace the damn studio. I mean, look at those expressions. This is what comics should be. The art is more than enough of a reason to buy this book. Writer Peter Tomasi gives you another one. This dude knows how to write kids. A lot of writers mess this up. The kids either talk like little adults or toddlers. The only ones people usually get right are older teens, but even those can be plagued with too much slang. Peter has kids, so he knows what he's doing. Damian Wayne and John Kent sound their age. John sounds like a 10-year-old raised by reporters. He'll throw out some big words, but still sounds like the choppy sentences a 10-year-old would use. And he acts like a 10-year-old. Most little kids look up to bigger kids, even when the older kids are jerks like Damian. So even when Damian picks on John, John still wants to hang out with Damian. They don't really like each other that much, but you can tell John wants Damian to like him way more than the other way around. That's how a 10-year-old acts. With Damian, it's the same thing. Peter's been writing Damian for years, so he's got a good handle on how Damian acts and talks. The kid talks like a stuck-up, bossy, violent bully acting much tougher and smarter than he really is. Oh, the boy is smart and better than 90% of DC's heroes. He could take down at least a third of them without trying. That said, Damian's still 13, and he acts like it, just old enough to think he knows everything, but just young enough to still want his dad's constant approval. Put a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old together, add some superpowers and martial arts, and you get Superboy and Robin. They fight and bicker like stepbrothers. That really makes the book. If these two don't work well together story-wise, the book doesn't work. But Peter Tomasi nails it. It's the kind of character building that's been missing for most of DC and Marvel's books. It's been a while since anyone's written something where two characters can carry the book. What I mean is that Peter writes John and Damian so well that you'd be happy just to read about them hanging out. No need for superhero missions, no need for costumes. The banter between these boys alone is worth the cover price. We just don't get that anymore, and I'm not sure why. Ultimately, we're supposed to care about the characters as people, so we should always have some sort of human connection with them. It feels like it's been at least 10, 15 years since American comics had this type of character drama across all or most of the books. Now with the story, I'm just covering the first 4 issues and I don't want to spoil it, so I'll give a general breakdown and highlight some of my favorite scenes. Peter has the boys tracking some break-ins at LexCorp. This eventually leads them to fighting Kid Amazo. Amazo, for those who don't know, was an android that could copy powers. Lex Luthor later copied this ability by creating the Amazo virus. It would infect people and give them the same copying ability. A group of these infected people were a family, and the youngest son, Reggie, went bananas from the powers and started using them against his family. He's the one who's been breaking into Luthor's labs to get a suit that would help him with his powers. He eventually calls himself Kid Amazo once he gets the suit. I love the way that Peter sets up the story by first showing what Damian and John think of each other. Damian spies on John by pretending to be his bus driver and substitute teacher. He's trying to figure out how the normies live, which is just funny since John and his parents all have powers. Damian's such a bully about it too. He immediately starts bossing John around and making fun of him. At one point when they get to LexCorp, Damian throws John off a building to distract Luthor. He's like, FYI, Q-Ball, the kid can't fly. What a douche move. And the funny thing is that John, just like a real 10-year-old, basically takes all of it. He's taller than Damian and obviously stronger than him. The height thing is a little weird because Damian was supposed to be tall for his age when he was first introduced. He was like 5'5" or 5'7", so I don't know if DC retconned that. Otherwise, John would have to be close to 5'8" or 5'9", and that's really tall for a 10-year-old. Another great scene is when the boys track down the location of the missing Amazo suit thanks to Damian's computer skills. It comes complete with this awesome humble brag. John's like, you think you're so cool, but you're not even a halfway decent Batman. And Damian's like, you're right, I'm better. Just makes the book. Later on, the boys get to the warehouse and discover the bodies of Reggie's family. Peter Tomasi would start every book with the scene of Reggie bullying his family, including killing them when he gets angry. So the boys find these bodies, and again, both boys behave true to form. John freaks out and wants his dad. Damian thinks he's got it covered. And they just end up arguing and splitting up. John stumbles onto Reggie's sister, Sarah, and then they get attacked by these android versions of Superman and Batman. These things are fused with the Amazo virus, so exactly what you think happens. The bots copy the boys' skills and powers and come after them. Sarah gives them the backstory on how Reggie lost his mind to the virus and developed the power to make copies of himself and stole the Amazo suit to amp up his powers. So eventually the boys have to fight him, and I don't want to give away too much because it's really fun and you should read it for yourself. I will say that this is what good storytelling is about. Yeah, this arc could have been a 2-part story, but those 2 extra issues let Peter Tomasi set up Damian and John's relationship. That allowed the readers to get to know these characters and care about them, especially John, since he's a new character that most people don't know anything about. If you're going to draw out the story, then you should spend time developing the characters. If they're well developed, we'll get all the info we need about their world, their opinion, their relationships, and how they would react to certain situations. That one's really important because it builds tension. You know Damian's a know-it-all and conniving, so you can't wait to see what underhanded plan he comes up with. You know John has his dad's sense of morality, so you can't wait to see what happens when he finally has enough of the bad guy or Damian. This is how you develop characters people will care about. Are you listening, Kwanzaa? Another point here is that both these characters are sold based on who they are, not their previous incarnations. Damian Wayne isn't Dick Grayson or Jason Todd or Tim Drake, and John Kent isn't Clark Kent or Connor. They're their own characters and it makes them more interesting. They also have flaws. John is too trusting, Damian is too arrogant. Both these things sometimes work for them and sometimes work against them. They learn, John learns, as they go along. They're not just awesome from the start or better than everyone else. Damian humble brags a lot, but sometimes his plans don't work and lands the boys in more trouble. Are you listening, Marvel? This is why your legacy characters suck. They don't have any of this. Keep in mind, both John and Damian are Superboy and Robin simply because their dads are Superman and Batman. There wasn't any call to adventure, there wasn't any tragic past, there wasn't any need to live up to a legacy. They were just given the roles. But they don't come across as entitled because the stories are about them earning those mantles. Are you listening, Marvel? When I read the first issue, I posted on Facebook that this is the closest thing DC and Marvel have to manga. this story would work in a Japanese comic. So if you have people who are manga fans, they're probably going to like this book. It's very well written, and the art style, I mean, it looks like Naruto. So if you like Naruto, there's a very good chance you're going to like this book. More importantly, though, this would bring kids back to comics. One of my friends who's 17 will not touch any current American comics, but he reads Japanese stuff all the time. I had to talk him into checking out this book. He basically read the book out of spite. He finally downloaded it, read it, and said, alright, I'll buy it. This is a kid who likes superheroes. He watches the shows, he plays the games, he watches the movies, and even reads the older books, but he won't touch the new stuff because it's not what he likes. He got this book though. That's damn good storytelling, and I wish DC was pimping this book more because it's not doing that well. The orders are pretty low. I think the most recent one has somewhere around 36,000, which isn't that great. This book is getting lost in the shuffle, and it really shouldn't. It's one of the better books out there. So if you've got the cash, buy this book. Now, fair warning, you're going to have to hunt down the early issues. They're up to 7 now, and even though the orders aren't that high, these books sell out. So be prepared to search for it. Honestly, go and get this book. Why are you still here? Go get the book. Get it. Now. Now, damn it, now. Go get it. I swear to God, if you don't... Alright. Thanks for listening, and if you did read the book, let me know in the comments what you think about it.